Hello and welcome to technically the third attempt at doing this stream tonight. I believe I am likely to go solo, but first, allow me to take my hat off and get comfortable. Of course, with the 2-year-old comment. Anyway, bottled at 63.1% alcohol. It is part of a private selection, at least this particular release, a single barrel picked out by USA Wine Traders Club. And I bought this from their store in Chatham, New Jersey. Unfortunately, Daniel, this is not their peated expression. This is just their barrel proof expression. And you know, it's very good, very simple. I think my nose might be off because I can't smell it right now. Or maybe this is just a bad glass, but you would expect something that at 60 plus proof to be jumping out of the glass. And this has jumped out of the glass before, but not today at least. Although it does smell somewhat dusty and damp. Very, very bright vanilla. It has a very velvety mouthfeel. It's very warming. Sort of just spreads throughout the tongue. Eats you up inside. In a way that a lot of whiskeys, at least in my experience, do not, or at least don't. But that could just be me. Not really sure what's going on with my throat. But yeah. This line, the Kings County Distillery line, including their bottled and bond, and I believe just their normal straight bourbon, and especially I would say their peated bourbon, are interesting experiments that are far beyond where they perhaps should be price-wise. Especially considering that they're, half bottles. Very lovely half bottles, but still, half bottles. And it has a really, for 2 years old, a great color. And the one and only Gutted Rot himself, Ed Omar, is joining us live. I apologize if I'm a little off my game. I'm having a bit of a headache and just seem to be a little discombobulated in general. So, enjoy that. Expired caramel. It definitely is very rye spicy. Back at you, Daniel. Oh no, this is something that somewhat runs in my family where we get fairly bad migraines and headaches from time to time. If anything, I blame my father. I would never blame you, Eric. Ed, of course, says, "Hey, dude. If either Ed or Eric would like to hop in to the show for a little bit just to shoot the shit, you're more than welcome to request. There's not really a lot planned except to maybe try some other things out and to just have a rip-roaring good time as much as possible given the circumstances. Perhaps some blending, if at all necessary. Because one of my big interests is to try and get a nice blend of a rye whiskey and a Irish whiskey specifically. And I do have some interesting rye whiskeys I can try that out with. I know, Ed, you're a big fan of Irish whiskeys and rye whiskeys. So if you'd like to antagonize me live with your own voice, feel free to request to join. But one of the rye whiskeys on standby that I think would be a good mix with this green spot finished in Bordeaux casks is Whistle Pig Old World cask finish, which is made up of port, Santerres, and Madeira cask finishes. Dissertation, it's rye. By that logic, I would say Canadian Mist is good. Sorry, I meant to say whiskey, because all whiskey is good whiskey. It's just some whiskey happens to be Canadian Mist. And the whiskey wife herself, Gretchen Galladay, is tuning in. I was actually just fawning over the fact that Jared briefly, for about a half a second before he realized his mistake, tuned in and commenting on how when I finally do take my road trip out to Texas in a little bit, that I really hope I don't run into Jared because I might spontaneously combust from the amount of nerdiness on my part. And of course, Gretchen laughed because a common thing that happens is whenever I start talking about someone, they're just like, nope, bye. Partially because of the 2-minute delay, in effect, give or take. Yeah, you know, for a New York whiskey, it's very classic. Nothing wrong with it. Good day from New Jersey, Richard Jenkins, I hope. Jenkins. Sorry if I mispronounced that. But yeah, very impressive. Piney. There's this weird vanilla, like mint type of note present, which is rather interesting. I am definitely a fan of this. I'm not sure if I would ever get another glass, but it's very good. And to just rinse it out and plug our sponsor. Background music. I do agree with you, Richard. However, I also like to dwell in the awkwardness that is the pauses between utterances and dwell in that. And that is where I get my energy from. And that is where all of the wit is generated. So if I was just doing this show cold with some music, it'd be that. You wouldn't have this. And of course, Pierre PR is tuned in potentially, with a comment, good very early morning from Sweden and cheers. Well, good relatively late evening from here in New Jersey. Vinny V asks, what about Weller 107? Surprisingly, that was actually a whiskey me and Eric were going to sample during our joint stream that fell apart. So I do have some Weller 107 down here, a store pick from Big Gary's Discount Liquors. Unfortunately, not Big Gary's Platinum Super Duper Liquor, but Big Gary's Discount Liquor. It's not even that big. But just because I'm a little weird with it, but primarily because I like using the little cup holder, not cup holder, cap. I'm going to use that to measure out a tiny little dram. Yeah, almost 2 a.m. I should probably go to bed, but heck. Bam! Am I really keeping you up? Go to bed, mister.